This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Whittle and Melton. My name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell stories. And this time, that adventure brings me here to the Pacific Northwest, and more specifically, the Puget Sound. And yes, I'm on a motorcycle, but I'm also on a boat, and that's just part of what we have coming for you on this episode, so let's roll. Have you ever sat at your job and thought, what if I just got up and left? Tell that horrible boss to take this job and shove it. Have you ever wanted to just walk out? What about burnout? Well, that's exactly what I did, but I didn't just quit. I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell your story. Daytona Beach, Florida, where you can actually drive onto the beach. Rick Fairless, a legend of his own, introduced me to Richard Rollins, Mayfield, Kentucky. Southeast Missouri, beautiful city of Knoxville, Tennessee. Gulf Coast of Mississippi, the Florida coast and the Tampa Bay area, Orange County Choppers, Roadhouse and Museum, talking to Paul Tuttle Sr. himself. But make no mistake, this is not a show about motorcycles or even about me. Instead, I travel across the country to meet the people who use their passion for motorcycles to make their communities stronger, safer, and better. This is Biker Dad. Start my little Pacific Northwest adventure with a little bit of monkeying around and some coffee in this quaint little town called Snohomish, which is on the Snohomish River. It's historic. It's been here since the 1800s. Many of these buildings are the same buildings that have been here since the pioneer days, and it's a great central location to take off for some of the rides that we're doing, and also just a great place to check out and get some coffee. This little place right here called Proper Joe. I always love to stop and grab a cup of coffee and watch the otters and the birds on the river right here before I take off for a quick ride. I'm gonna monkey around town a little bit and monkey around Snohomish County too, and check out the places that I used to hang out when I was a little kid growing up here. It was tons of fun riding the monkey, but we're done monkeying around. It's time to get back on the Harleys and even in some of these hot rods and do some serious riding, because there's a lot to see. So let's go see it. Let's roll. The Pacific Northwest is just one of the most beautiful and diverse places to ride in. You could be riding through skyscrapers and then literally minutes later be riding through skyscraping mountains. There's beautiful water everywhere. The mountains can be seen from any point of view. I've been all over the country on a motorcycle, and America is beautiful, but the Pacific Northwest is one of those rare spots where you can be in the city, in a giant city with all its problems and its troubles and political strife, and then literally less than an hour and just minutes be in a place like this that seems untouched by man, just beautiful Mother Nature. We are in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. Shh, if you're quiet, I think you might be able to hear something. Definitely think I can smell something. This is the land of Bigfoot, the Sasquatch. Remember Harry and the Hendersons? This is where they found Harry. And late summer is the best time to come and visit the Pacific Northwest because it is the dry, warm season. This is one of the most rainy places in the world, but this time of the year, it is just unbelievably beautiful. Up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere here in Western Washington, and we ran across the 59 Diner, and of course, I had to stop and check this place out. The 59er Diner is literally out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains along Highway 2. I found out that actually back in 2016, this beloved landmark burned to the ground. It took years for the owners to get the restaurant back to its 50s glory, now serving up handmade milkshakes, 50s music and memorabilia, and a whole lot more. It was even featured for its cheese sticks on diners, dives, and drive-ins. One of the really cool things about the Pacific Northwest and the Puget Sound are these things right here. That is the Mocha Teal Ferry, and there are ferries just like this all over the Puget Sound. But one thing I've never done on one of these is ride a motorcycle, and we're gonna go do that right now. And yes, I'm on a motorcycle, but I'm also on a boat.
I'm George Makins, Clinton, Washington. Clinton is the first stop off the ferry on Whidbey Island, right at the edge of the highway, sleepy little town. Live close to the ferry terminal, take my bike every day. The ferries, it's really cool being on a motorcycle because you get to go in front of everybody. If you look behind you at all the cars, you don't want to be sitting in that line, especially if your motor's running and everything's getting hot. You get to be the first on and the first off. I usually take the 440 ferry to work in the morning. We get about 50 bikes in here and it gets pretty loud. I work at Boeing, I'm an engineer. A lot of people on the cars, they tend to take the main highway from Clinton all the way up to Oak Harbor and then across Deception Pass. A lot of people don't know you can still get to the north end on a lot of side roads, and it's really cool because there's a lot of twisties and it's a lot more open and you're not worried about people in front of you. You do have to look out for the wildlife. We do have a very large deer population out here that tend to come out and just sit there and stare at you. But like they say, loud pipes save lives. I've been riding West Washington about 40 years. I really like the different landscapes and the different places that you can go. Whether it's going over the mountains and riding in the desert, going down south a little bit into Oregon or along the coast, riding on the peninsula, you have different challenges, different environments, and one thing we like to say, can't let the weather stop you here because you will learn how to ride in the rain. But it's not often that a lot of people can say you can see whales and all the sea life out here. We've actually have stopped the boat a few times because of a pod of orcas and other whales coming through. You get to watch the nice boats. It's just beautiful out here. And the crisp, clean breeze coming off the water. Lots of beaches. They're not the typical beaches people normally associate with next to the water.
Of an obstacle course down here to the water. Down up here, Skinny Beach, like you find in Alabama.
And lots of beauty.
Deception Pass from Whidbey Island back to the mainland in Western Washington is just one of those places you have to see, you have to ride on, unless you're afraid of heights. It's a little bit unnerving to be standing up here this high, even looking over my shoulder at this camera is just making me a little bit queasy. This is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen, but I'm also extremely anxious. My fear of heights and my fear of getting run over by a car are pretty much dueling right now. We're on the road in Seattle, Washington, and we are at the Seattle Seafair. This thing's been going on for almost 80 years. You may not have ever even heard of it, but it is one of the best summer events in all of America. high-flying aerobatic planes. This event brings hundreds of thousands of people to the beautiful shores of Lake Washington to check it all out. And so let's do that right now. Let's check out the Seafair.
Hi, I'm Dick Sanders. I've been a volunteer with Seafair, giving pit tours since about 1992. Well, you got to go back, well, really to 1950. A local Chrysler dealer by the name of Stan Sayers decided that he wanted to build a boat that could break the existing water speed record of 140 miles an hour that had been set back before World War II. He had he commissioned the building of a boat called Slow Motion 4 by Ted Jones, and he took that Slow Motion 4 out on Lake Washington here in 1950 and broke the existing record by quite a bit. It went from 140 to 160 just in one fell swoop. And records like these typically are broken incrementally 1, 2, 3 miles an hour at a time. This is huge for its day.
I grew up with hydroplanes and hot rods, so I'm here at Seafair with our car show. And this is my toy right here. It's a custom 57 Corvette. Well, Seafair has been going on since at least the 50s. It's typically been one of the biggest celebrations in Seattle. It culminates the entire summer. It's a week or two long event that has parades and everything, and it climaxes here at the Seafair Hydroplane races. You have unlimited hydroplanes going around 200 miles an hour down the straightaway, average lap speeds of 160 plus. And then we've got a bunch of vintage hydroplanes from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s all out here. They come out and do display runs. And you got the Blue Angels that have been interrupting this, this audio here periodically. I don't know if that'll hear me above that. Just all kinds of other events, and it's just a big celebration.
And it's continued on for, 70 odd years. I'm not sure when the Blue Angels were incorporated into the program, but it's been a great addition all these years. And for instance, in a year like this, when we don't have a boat count that's so high, many more people are interested in the Blue Angels, quite frankly. And it's great. The crowd this year is easily as big as it was pre-pandemic. There are a lot of people out on the beach this year.
Blue Angels and the hydroplanes may steal the show, but one of the highlights for Seattle Seafair for me is the car show. And if you know me and you follow me, I own 3 Harley Davidsons and I don't have a car at all. So my brother was nice enough to let me borrow a couple of his cars, and we had a great time here at Seattle Seafair. That's not the car, that's the F-35.
She was actually modified in 1967 by a guy that apprenticed under George Barris. George Barris being the person that created the original Batmobile and the Munsters cars. So he taught the guy that did this. She has 63 Buick Riviera headlights. Tail lights are front turn signals off of 56 Ford, and just all kinds of different body accentuations, etc. My grandpa bought her in 1979. His original intent was to modify or to restore her to factory stock, but as soon as he saw her, he decided to keep her custom. And so she's been in the family since '79. He gave her to me in '03. Now, my dad raced limited hydroplanes, arguably one of the fastest limited hydroplanes back in from 74 through 80. We were undefeated. There's going to be people that will hear this saying, oh, we could have beat him. Maybe. But from 74 through 80, she was undefeated if we didn't have engine problems or blow engines. And since they started running the car show in conjunction, being a car guy and a hydroplane guy, I mean, as long as they do this, I'll be here every year from now on. It's been a tradition in Seattle since at least the 50s, and it got huge, and now we're struggling a little. COVID didn't help, but so we're hoping to get it on a rebound and also start including the classic cars a little more often.
I hope everybody that watches your video will have a chance someday to come out and experience this once.
This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
We speak to clients about car insurance after they've had an accident. If you're in Florida, you have to buy uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. It's usually called UM on your form. The reason it's so important in Florida is 26% of drivers have no bodily injury coverage, meaning when they hit you and they have no coverage, there's no insurance to apply to your event. Please buy UM coverage.
Hi there, this is Chris Best, the Biker Dad. I'm just here to let you know that myself and the hundreds of thousands of people who follow us on social media and watch the TV show are here to help. Do you need help with something? Give me a call. That's my number right there, 251-402-6392. Especially if you need legal help, I have an army of lawyers across the country who can help you with injuries after motorcycle crashes especially, but other stuff like crime and everything else too. So give me a call, 251-402-6392. Biker Dad's on TV every week right here, but where we got our start really was the Facebook page. There are over 300,000 of you following us there. Please go like our Facebook page and you'll keep up to date on everything from my rides to my quirky little weird things I do every day and get a lot of funny memes while you're at it. In fact, a lot of people come for the memes. So go check out TV Biker Dad on Facebook.
If you love your bike but hate swamp ass, Breezy Rider is for you. For 27 years, I've been designing medical seating to protect the skin of people confined to wheelchairs. Now, after so many friends asking for help with their motorcycle seats, I've designed Breezy Rider. Breezy Rider actually enhances the look of your bike with its custom fit design, while the patented Seal Air foam reduces vibrations that cause fatigue and pain, and you can actually feel air flowing underneath you, keeping you cool and dry.
Now here's the Biker Dad Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week.
This week's Bike of the Week is a used beauty. This thing is over 10 years old, but is basically new, right? Tell us about it, Steve.
So this is a pre-owned night train. It is one of the few older motorcycles that we've gotten in with less than 5,000 miles on it. There's not any scratches, nothing wrong with the paint. It is a very, very, very nice motorcycle. And since we've had it in, we have serviced the motorcycle, made sure everything's, fresh and ready for the next owner.
So you guys have some of the most used bikes on the Gulf Coast, right?
Yep, so we've got over 140 pre-owned motorcycles in stock, just about in everybody's price range. Doesn't matter what you're looking at, and start with that.
And for this bike, for example, it's an older bike, but one of the things I know that you guys are really adamant about is making sure the tires are good.
Yep, we're adamant about making sure the tires are good, the fluids are changed, the batteries are new and fresh and hot and ready for the next owner. So we make sure all of our pre-owned motorcycles are well taken care of.
It's got a cool exhaust on it.
Sandstone street sweepers.
Street sweepers, which are kind of like the short shots I have on my dyno, only they turn down, and these are chrome, so it's really cool. It's got this solid wheel on the back, which is different. And one of the ways you can tell about it, tell a 2000s Harley Softail is the custom is this. And
the flipped out rear fender is really, really cool.
It's pretty unique to that era and to this bike. So one of the things that sticks out about this bike. Doesn't look like any other Harley from the rear end.
Yes, we do have a pre-owned Rocker C in very similar condition that we're about to roll out as well. Check that out.
So this is a Rocker C, which is a rare bike, and then the one Rob was telling me in the store, it's got one of the rarest paint jobs on it too. And we will have that as the Bike of the Week coming up in the next few weeks. And if you come down and see this bike, the Rocker C, whatever other bike we're doing, come to the dealership, ask to see the Bike of the Week, and you'll get a free Biker Dad sticker.
Our Back on Two stories are brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
Hey everybody, April Violet here, Miss Heels on Wheels from Knoxville, Tennessee. But today we are in Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm actually doing this video to send it back to Biker Dad over in Alabama. I got a story for you back on two. I want you to meet Brian. We just happened to meet him and his lovely wife. They were in a motorcycle accident in 2011. And as odd as it sounds, both of them lost one leg. But it didn't stop them. They got back on their bikes 7 months later. Pure inspiration. Check out Miss, look at that. Look at this. If this happened, I'd have a heel on that.
I tried that.
She tried that. We were on our way home from dinner on a Thursday night. We were going east, she was going west. She ran a red light and did a U-turn and hit us dead center, going pretty fast. So She flew off the bike, Misty did, rolled across 3 lanes, landed on the sidewalk. It broke her femur, crushed every bone in her foot, her ankle, her heel, broke her tibia and fibula. And me and the motorcycle went on top of the car, and she kept going, and then she slammed on the brakes, and I flipped over, and the bike landed on me, and I slid about 70 feet. The kicker is we got married a month before.
Oh.
So we had been married 1 month when it happened.
Oh my goodness.
But it was, hey, we made it through it.
Yeah, you did.
Could be worse.
and a lot of good came out of this. Not only did you
yeah.
get back on the bike, you have an organization that you support as well.
Yes, I got hooked up with an organization called Amputee Blade Runners. They supply athletic legs for kids that their insurance won't pay for it or don't have insurance. So people don't realize it's a real problem that kids can't get the kind of leg they need because it's considered a luxury item. So what the organization does, once they take a kid in, they'll take care of them until they're an adult. They provide them with running legs, biking legs, swimming legs, just about anything you want to do. And to see the look on these kids' face whenever the first time they get a jump rope or run, sorry.
I know, I don't imagine.
But to be able to see it firsthand and watch, and see how it changes their lives is an incredible thing. We decided we wanted to do something to help. So we put on a ride every year.
You can count on Garza Law for $500.
Oh,
so we're going to ride that. Anybody watching this, I'm going to go ahead and challenge you to get in touch with them. You can contact me, Miss Heels on Wheels. That's with Z's, not S's, my Facebook. If you want to match some of the donations, some businesses, we call all of you out. Let's do something for these kids. So,
everything happens for a reason,
absolutely.
and we both very much believe that. And we've seen a lot of good come out of it. So, and I'm still alive, she's still alive, we're still going.
You have to be
enjoying life. So.
And they're still riding. Hey everybody, April Violet here, Miss Heels on Wheels from Knoxville, Tennessee, and you're watching Biker Dad TV.
Out of high school, I wanted to challenge maybe something that was different than what most people would do in a college environment. So I went to the Merchant Marine Academy and ended up in the Navy, in the reserves, and as a Merchant Marine, I started to get to help people, and so the law seemed like a natural transition from that.
My background is a little different than a lot of lawyers. There's not really many professionals or any professionals in my family tree. My grandfather was in the railroad, and my dad was basically self-taught entrepreneur. Luckily, I grew up in a neighborhood where I had a lot of friends whose parents were professionals, and I was always interested in talking to the dads who were lawyers and the things that they would tell me about in terms of representing clients and the different things they'd get into, and I really wanted to be a lawyer. So my first job was as a prosecutor in Miami. Robert and I met as prosecutors together. I actually tried my very first case with Robert.
I started at a larger firm and then became a prosecutor. Jason went from law school and became a prosecutor. We became friends, got to know each other.
And then after that, we realized, hey, we should start a firm together.
We wanted to build the best law firm. That's what we worked on. And it's a work in progress. Every day we have to try to, come in and figure out how do we make it better.
One of the things I love about our law firm is that we have so many people from different backgrounds. Even just my partner and I have very different backgrounds growing up. I just feel like there's a lot of things about our firm and the makeup of the people who work here that allow us to do really good work on these files because we can connect with our clients in ways that smaller firms can't.
We believe, in the end, the best thing we can do for our clients is always tell them the truth, always fight hard for them, and focus on their well-being and their long-term interests. And if we do that, we'll be successful, and I think that has proven true from the growth of our firm from the start to today.
Week's tech tip, we're here with Neil from Harley-Davidson, who just did this cool handlebar install, and we all talk about how they fit and how comfortable they are, and more importantly how cool they look. But there's another really important thing about an install that we need to talk about, right?
Right, handlebar clamps. After pipes and air cleaner, one of the first things people do is fit the bike to themselves with a nice set of handlebars. But with more height comes more leverage. This is a Bagger Nation clamp. Has set screws. Keep these things from falling down to your lap when you hit the throttle. So, people don't really think, you don't really see it too much, so people don't think about upgrading it. And the Harley clamp does a great job, but if you're deviating from any Harley setup or height, it's good to have some extra protection there.
I actually noticed that on my Dyna. I put almost these exact same handlebars on my Dyna, and since then,
even when I take off really fast, get a little torque, I can feel the bars.
Exactly.
And what I really noticed, how I really noticed, is that I look over my mirrors and they're out of line. Like the mirrors didn't move, but my handlebars did.
Yeah, staring at the shoulder behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. These, like I said, when you go grab a handful of throttle, the last thing you want is these things moving. It's just not a safe situation. There are LA Choppers, Bagger Nation, a few different manufacturers of these. These are Paul Yaffe bars, so of course they're from the Paul Yaffe plant. We also did the polyurethane bushings to keep things rigid.
And where are those?
They are right down here. They replaced the factory Harley rubber. Super solid. So you are connected to your bars, connected to the bike, connected to the road.
All right, cool, awesome. So that's this week's tech tip.
The reason why bikers get injured, it's usually almost never the bikers. It's the other cars. It's the kid playing on their phone. It's the guys in trucks making deliveries, trying to pinch time. We have a lot of experience in representing bikers. I was recently named top 20 biker injury lawyer in the country. And these cases really require lawyers who have experience dealing with this stuff. We just ask anybody, if you know someone who's been in a bike accident, have them call us. There's a lot of things we can do.
My name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year career to ride motorcycles and tell stories. And now I'd like to invite you to come along for the ride. You can watch my new show, Biker Dad TV, right here every week. Watch Biker Dad Sundays at 11:30 on ABC 20 WCJB, brought to you by Whittle and Melton. Biker Dad is brought to you in Gainesville by Whittle and Melton. Thank you for joining me and the Blue Angels here in the Great Pacific Northwest. That's it for this week's episode of the Biker Dad TV show. Until next time, please look twice for motorcycles.